Okay, welcome everyone to the afternoon session in the medium-sized company category. We're thrilled and honored to be presenting here for Project of the Year 2016. I've been a member of the PEO for probably about 7 or 8 years now. Just a little bit about myself, I graduated from a software engineering degree at Western University. We were one of the first classes that were actually adjudicated as professional engineers, having graduated through the software stream, so I'm pretty excited about that. Our project is the making of an intelligent building, and it focuses on an expansion of our headquarters, which is located at 25 Interchange Way in Vaughan. I'm just going to play you a quick 2-minute overview of our company to give you some context for what we do and the project itself.
The Mircom Group of Companies is North America's largest independent designer, manufacturer, and distributor of intelligent building and life safety solutions. Reaching customers in over 100 countries worldwide, our portfolio includes fire detection and alarm, communications and security, mass notification, nurse call, and building automation and smart technologies. Founded in 1991 by Tony Falvo, whose industry roots date back to the early 1960s, the privately held, family-run company has consistently achieved robust growth.
We always thought that if we created the right technology with the right nucleus of people around me, we could build a company that could go a long way with technology and products that could be exported in various parts of the world.
Key to Mircom Group's success is its complete vertical integration. For that reason, we proudly operate from our 100,000 square foot head office and manufacturing facility in Toronto, Canada.
Under one roof, you're finding research and development, you're finding production, you're finding applications engineering, you're seeing teams collaborate on solutions, working with customers, working with suppliers. It really is a very dynamic environment. It demonstrates the deep commitment we have to our industry and to our technologies.
Typically, family-run companies are considered to be more mom and pop, but I think nothing could be further from the truth here at Mircom. We've got cutting-edge technology. We've got an R&D team that's focused on developing the latest and greatest. Keeping our company private and operating it like a family business means that we can do what we feel is right at the end of the day. It's our names on the solutions and the products, and we're responsible and accountable for those solutions.
Okay, so that's a little bit about our company. The project itself is really our first opportunity to present the wide variety of product portfolio that we either offer or distribute from best-of-breed partners in the industry. Intelligent buildings and IoT sensors, kind of smart home, smart building, the terms get thrown around quite liberally in media these days. Our goal as a manufacturer and Canadian innovator in this space was to really provide an opportunity for our customers, our employees, and our people to come and understand what this means in current 2016 time. What we did is we took best-of-breed technologies, developed and designed, manufactured by Mircom and our third parties, of which we see some in the circle surrounding the building here, and we brought them together onto one network infrastructure within our own plant so that we could demonstrate the capabilities of these systems, the integration of the systems between and amongst one another, and then also drive some savings and some other results to promote these type of solutions in the name of sustainability and energy efficiencies going forward. The project itself consisted of a 20,000 square foot expansion of our existing facility, which was approximately 80,000 square feet. It's located just steps from the new Vaughan Metropolitan Center, downtown, and subway stop, and also not far from the new City of Vaughan Hospital to be built at Major Mackenzie and Jane Street. The extension is meant to house the R&D team on the second floor, and on the first floor, we house our GTA sales and services team, which is open to the public, and we invite you to stop by at your leisure. What are the needs? In building a structure, you look at my base needs. The base needs that we had were, we had run out of space. We had a growing engineering team that has tripled in the last 8 years. We've gone from just under 20 engineers to now over 70 engineers. We needed to have this transition happen with a minimal disruption to our ongoing operations. So while we were designing the new intelligent building and the space and creating an environment suitable for innovation, we had to continue to deliver on our day jobs for our customers, which expand into 100 countries around the world. And finally, of course, being a privately owned company, it was critically important that we could meet the requirements of this space on time and on budget. In assessing our needs, we felt that there was a lot of opportunities here. We didn't want to go for the standard, tried and true, put the walls up, minimal cost of furniture, and have people use the space like they had been previously using the last 20 years. We really wanted this environment to position Mircom as a leader in the intelligent building space. When you're competing against global giants including Honeywell, Tyco, Siemens, and United Technologies Corporation, we need to be able to demonstrate and go above and beyond to convince customers of the utilization and value of the Mircom solutions. Internally, we always speak of the old idiom, nobody ever got fired for buying IBM. Well, nobody ever got fired for buying any of our competitive product, and we really need a way to give people that comfort and confidence by visiting our facility and seeing firsthand the capabilities of Canadian innovation technology. We also want to create an environment that inspires and attracts top talent. In the modern IoT infrastructure and world that we live in, college graduates, university graduates, and even experienced engineers, they're attracted to the big names like Google, Apple, Microsoft, Salesforce, and anything as a service company. In order for us to recruit these top talents and bring them up into the city of Vaughan, in the region of York Region, to show them that things can happen beyond the greater Toronto area, we need to have a space that's very inviting, that excites them, where they can come to work each day, meet with other engineers that are leading engineers in their trades, and provide opportunities for them that go above and beyond what your traditional software-only companies can offer. So having the ability to develop the software, plus use the infrastructure, see the hardware, and see the manufacturing, it's a great way to attract people into our region. The living demo environment is something that I touched upon briefly, but I can't emphasize how critically important it is to have that living demo. When you're selling these solutions, which are kind of, in a lot of ways, thought as vaporware, or future technologies, having something that is live, up and running. When we do our demonstration, we don't do demonstrations on PowerPoint. We walk people through the facility. We rip the sensors off the wall. We show them the LAN and wireless infrastructure leading back into the server rooms, unlock those server closets. We show them the RS-45 serial bus connections, coming back into the Ethernet gateways. It's a way to drive confidence in the solutions. We show them the front ends and dashboards that give them the intuition and knowledge of how these systems work well together. And we give them the opportunity to actually play with the equipment firsthand. It's the best way to make a sale, in our opinion. Of course, operational efficiency is critically important for our company. As a Canadian manufacturer, playing in a market where manufacturing is dominated by overseas supply, where labor is $3 compared to over $30 an hour in Canada, we needed to make sure that anything we did for our building would drive those operating costs down so that we could reinvest in our people and the technology. We'll get into a few of the statistics on the operational efficiencies as we continue. On the project itself, there are numerous, actually infinite, technical challenges. I want to focus here on just 3 of those. First one being the solution selection. Anybody who's designing for the modern IoT or smart building or smart home infrastructure today is usually faced with data sheets from any of a number of these hundreds or even thousands of companies. So our first challenge is really to sift through the noise, to find what is the real value of these technologies, to find partners that we could be confident in, that we could take their technology and integrate with our own solutions to create that overall building environment. So the solution analysis phase of the project was a multi-month effort whereby we either interviewed various vendors and manufacturers, we purchased products to run our own pilots and tests in our own labs environments, and or we visited other manufacturers' environments to see their products working firsthand in life. The second major challenge we faced is after selecting a number of partners that would work together with Mircom in creating this intelligent building for Vaughan, for York Region, and for the future, was to design a network. So one of the most innovative parts of our solution here is in talking with a lot of other larger manufacturers, including Cisco, who promotes Water Park Place downtown Toronto. The hidden secret in intelligent building design today is that manufacturers don't want to play with one another. So what they in fact do is they provide multiple solutions, which are in fact siloed, and everyone's running their own independent network. They want complete separation. They don't want to have to worry about the mechanical engineer coming in and attaching a device on their IP LAN, which is going to create a problem with their own solution. So this kind of behind-the-scenes separation of the solutions is not really the vision that we're trying to achieve. We talk about integrated technology for the future. So we believe that we have actually the first building in Canada, in fact, that actually has your building automation, your fire, security, your AV solutions, all of your networking technologies running on one IP LAN managed by our engineers and our IT people. It was their job to figure out how to make these systems interact without conflict and drive the business value that we expected. In this example here, we're speaking specifically about the building automation solutions employed. So in our main building, we had 16 rooftop units serving 82,000 square foot plant. All of these rooftop units were independently controlled by one single thermostat. We had the new extension here, which was going to be based on Zigbee on the wireless side and BACnet on the enterprise IT side. Zigbee and BACnet were great technologies in that they were industry standards and there was multiple vendors available to provide us with the products we needed to fill that solution. So what we did is we went into the existing building. First step was we upgraded all of the existing thermostats we had to BACnet IP compatible gateway connected thermostats, and each of those thermostats with a Zigbee interface were able to be retrofitted in under 30 minutes. So really when we're talking about how do you upgrade an 82,000 square foot facility with 16 rooftop units serving multiple zones and multiple requirements, we're talking about 30 minutes per thermostat and a total equipment cost of just between $4,500 and $7,500. These are things that are achievable for any business. And living this live, showing people in our environment, means other people can see those same operational savings that we saw ourselves. The IP line, which is based on BACnet, is pulling in our power meeting technology, our HVAC control technology, our lighting control technology, but in addition to that, we have our security systems, access control, and fire detection and alarm system also pumping that information onto that BACnet. The way we pull that out is through the intelligent services team that Richard led with his group that understands independently how these systems operate and at the overarching level what the business expects from these solutions. One mechanical issue in particular was the owners of the building wanted a minimal cost installation on the equipment side. So in handing out the contracts to the mechanical contractor satisfied each of the floors with one rooftop unit. So on the first floor, where it was generally used as warehouse and counter operation, it wasn't so much of an issue. On the second floor, which we see here, we actually had 5 independent zones. We had the entranceway reception area, the employee workstations, we separated the window zones from the interior zones, we had a big kitchen, and then we also had a lab. And as anybody who's ever worked in an R&D environment knows, your lab temperature is always higher than all the other aspects of your building. So what did we do to actually take one piece of hardware, which is meant to satisfy an entire environment, and then split it up into 5 independent zones? Well, through intelligent programming and design, we're able to manipulate our fans, dampers, and actuators to create an interval of schedules that would heat and cool the areas in real time, over and over, multiple times per day, to manage the various set points which were set by the users in each of those zones. So this is an example of how you overcome hardware deficiencies in your design or your environment with intelligent controls and programming of that software. Some of the benefits that we've seen. So specifically on the statistics side, I'm going to point to a 25% decrease in employees leaving the company. The engineers that were previously locked up in the labs and the internal bowels of the old building now presented into a beautiful open concept office space with many labs and meeting groups so that they could collaborate on new solutions and made them have a perception that they were really working now for a world-class environment, exporting around the world. Sustainability. We did an energy comparison, and this stat is a little bit misleading here because we found it was 33% savings, but it was 33% savings over the first floor environment that didn't utilize the controls, which was actually 2,000 square feet smaller. So in a 25% larger space, we actually saw a 33% decrease in the spend on our energy bill after our 1-year trial. Career development, the employees now have an opportunity not only to work on the siloed solutions that they may be assigned to on a project level, but it's open access for everybody to see these systems, how they interoperate together and how they work together. We encourage them to take trips through the lab and work with other engineers to understand their solutions. We've had a ton of global recognition, from MPs including Sorbara, Schultz, and Fantino, to our former Prime Minister, Stephen Harper. It was amazing for our team to see the benefits of putting these solutions together in a live pilot environment, what type of people they could attract into our facility. Some of the systems, just to recap for you what we've employed in here, is that 1 minute? Some of the systems that we use, so world-class life safety security solutions. We have our fire detection alarm portfolio, intercom access control, and the OpenGN, which is a front-end monitoring solution, using multiple protocols to pull the information in. Here's Stephen Harper talking directly with our engineers, inspiring young people in York Region, specifically coming over because of the benefits of these types of projects and the technology that we brought together. Intelligent lighting. So lighting, which was obviously very complicated in the past, now we can manage it through software on the web, and it's easy to turn lights on as snapping your fingers. You can also do it to turn it off. So actually, I'm not doing it through snapping my fingers. I have a wireless control. It's that easy. Okay, HVAC integration. We discussed this already. So this is the previous or existing plant that we had. Upgrading the thermostats, half hour per thermostat, $4,500 to $7,500 in controls, depending on how fancy you get. Bringing this back through BACnet IP into the integrated backbone, fiber interconnects between the two sides of the building. This allows us to do the HVAC. 33% energy savings, a combination of the HVAC controls, now putting our systems on a schedule, being able to use occupancy sensors and motion sensors to determine what occupancy we have in each room, saves us a lot of energy. And finally, we've had tons of success business-wide since this solution in particular went in and over the course of our development in 2016. We were named to the gold standard status for Canada's best managed companies, which means that we've achieved this status 5 years in a row. We're also ranked by Brandham 300 as one of Canada's 250 top technology companies, including third in the healthcare space. And finally, we saw a 16% increase in revenue, which in this market is absolutely dramatic. We've seen a lot of pullback from other companies and layoffs happening throughout the world. So for Mircom to grow with your support, Professional Engineers of Ontario, Region of York, City of Vaughan, and our nation of Canada, we're very excited by that. And thank you very much.
Any questions from our judges?
Yeah, for that digital lighting that you mentioned, do you have any specific solution to get more benefit from daylight by
Daylight
somehow
harvesting?
controlling the blinds or stuff like that, or just the lighting?
So we don't have blind control on the solution, but what we're able to do is since when there's enough solar energy coming in through that window, we can manipulate our own schedule to turn the lights on or off later on in the day, or turn them on earlier if we sense that it's very dark. One thing that was super interesting, in fact, is you walk into our kitchen, and I'm always wondering why the lights are always off. We find that people actually prefer to have a low light, natural light environment than an artificial light environment to have that downtime throughout their day. So we're learning as we go along and continuing to pump this information back into the process of managing this building.
And my second question is about moisture control or humidity. Do you have any specific solution for that?
We have not implemented humidity or moisture control. Water and leak detection is something that's come up quite a bit. Actually, we like to say that everything went perfect, but we had big issues with the roof in this building. So we actually use one of our, we have a wireless nurse call system which can take contact devices in. And what we did is to track where the water was coming in during the construction phase of the building. We tied these water and leak sensors onto our nurse call solution, which would report back on the east side or the west side of the building. After heavy snowfall or rainfall, we could identify where the major leaks were happening. That allowed us to hire the contractors to refit the roof in those locations, and that's where we're doing intelligent water controls.
You're talking about an integrated system.
Correct.
Are you running on a custom platform or generic platform?
So it's an open platform. The platform at the physical layer is Cat5 and fiber, and then you consider RF to be physical as well. On top of that, various vendors have either proprietary protocols or open protocols. Intelligent building space, the open protocols that dominate are BACnet and Modbus, and on the wireless side, you typically have either proprietary 433 megahertz, Zigbee, or Z-Wave. So the open standards we chose were mainly BACnet IP, and that allows us to connect in access control, fire, and the automation technologies, and Zigbee, plus Enocean. Enocean's like a miniature version of Zigbee on the wireless side, and then we find vendors who support these protocols in their devices.
In your platform, do you have any limitation as so far? Because when you do a platform, you don't anticipate what's going to happen in 5 years from now, but you always have a certain amount that you dedicated for future use. And sometimes it creates some limitation on other things that you have done.
We've not come up against any limitations at this point. The benefit of being able to scale your networks, it's kind of like the internet. The way these intelligent technologies work is we have global nodes that represent the buildings. They have each of their different branches and little subsystems, and then you can just keep growing them. Zigbee, for example, is a mesh networking technology. So in fact, it doesn't have scale issues or distance issues. The more devices you put in there, the network just keeps growing and getting stronger. So we see a bit of a network effect in these intelligent building solutions. It's a bit of a ramp up to get started, but once you're moving, you just keep going and going and going.
From a business sort of model point of view, and I suspect that this is only one project and you have all sorts of other things.
Of course, yes.
So only on this one and focus. You provide the services, you provide the capital equipment, you provide the installation, you provide the maintenance. I mean, what is the revenue
Very good
generation?
question,
How
very
do you
good
go-
question.
How do you make your money?
So in our case, we paid for everything, so I didn't make
That
any
was-
money on this project. Although we've developed new products, we've brought new talent in, so it's hard to kind of, put a number on what the benefit is. Our business model to other companies is that we manufacture some of this equipment. So fire detection, alarm, security, access control, they're all Mircom designs. We have engineers on staff. We go from whiteboard to white box, as we say. We're a distributor. So a lot of the building automation technologies here are from partners including Schneider Electric. So we distribute for third party. And what we'll do, if we'll come to this hotel, we'll speak with the owners, we'll understand where their needs are. Richard and his team will do the design. They start from the drawings, construction drawings. They'll lay out all the different systems on top, almost like layers of a CAD drawing. And then they'll do the network interfaces to make sure that these come together. In terms of the dashboard, they'll provide programming. They'll come back and regulate the system to say, did we meet our goals? Are you interested in manipulating that? So we actually do design, manufacture, installation, servicing, and maintenance support right through the solution.
At what point do you figure out or convince, figure out and then how solidly can you convince a client that whatever this is going to cost is going to save them at the end? Or, you might not have gone through that, but you
Of
have-
course, this is a hard sell. Today it's a hard sell because not that people don't believe, they're just tired of the hype. They
Yeah.
hear blah, 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 blah all the time. And this is why through demonstration projects, we have to kind of cross, somebody mentioned Greg Moore, great book, Crossing the Chasm. We're trying to get past that, and we felt that that's why this project was critically important. We had to invest ourselves to show people the benefit. So, sales, we'll have a discussion after the event, but there's, the good thing for us is that some of the technologies are regulated. You need to have the fire life safety. That builds trust in the consumer or the customer. Once that trust is there, and we've demonstrated our value proposition versus the competition, some of that extra money that they've saved by choosing Mircom can now be used to prototype some of these solutions. So for example, I mentioned we upgraded 16 RTUs in the old building. In some cases, we'll say, let's do one, just so that you can see it, you get familiar, we can do a small pilot for you, and then drive the rest of the project through those results. So it's very much
Are you being able to
experiential.
quantify the cost of operating versus the old system you had before per square foot versus what you have now?
In our case, because we manage our own facilities, we didn't have to hire any additional staff. It was the IT department. We instructed them on these new systems, and they almost run themselves. Everything's a web-based dashboard, very easy drag and drop graphical programming. And once you do that initial investment for setup, the systems kind of tell you when they need attention, when they
Yeah, but
don't.
I'm talking about operating costs. You operate a business like in the old system, what you had versus the new system with all the gadget. What is your
The quantification that we have done the best on this project is really our energy. So we compared the first floor, which didn't utilize the controls, with the second floor, and we've seen 33% decrease in energy utilization by managing the schedule specifically on the lighting, but mainly on the heating, cooling, and air conditioning side.
keeping everything else constant?
Keeping everything else constant. It's 8,000 square feet versus 10,000 square feet, maybe 10 or 15% more people on one floor or the other. Same exact rooftop unit equipment that was satisfying both sides, one with the controls, one without, and we've seen 33% improvement in operational efficiency.
Yeah, related question for that 33% energy saving.
Yes.
How does it justify the cost, the capital cost and the operation cost?
It's a very good question. Different industry statistics will tell you anywhere between 1 and 5 years to recuperate this. We think it's closer to between 2 and 3. It depends because a building and environment changes over a period of time. We might hire more people, the employees might decide, it might be a colder winter, it might be a warmer summer. So we're guessing it's about 3 years on the investment you make to pay that back, but then that obviously continues on forever.
Okay, and my second question is because you are using the third-party appliances and equipment.
In some cases, yes.
Yeah, how do you make sure about, and using IP in general,
Yes.
how do you make sure the security of the network and from the security specifically for IP and hacking point of view, which may impact the outcome of the result of the operation?
Yes, of course, we leverage existing IT policies to restrict access to the network. In the most severe of cases, we do a lot of work in the smart home and smart condo space right now, and security is of utmost concern for people. What we actually do is, you may have heard of whitelist or blacklist. We use blacklist networking, which means that we pre-register every single device's MAC address that is allowed to have access to our network. Therefore, anybody else who might hit the perimeter of that network but doesn't have their MAC address, which is on their network card pre-registered, will not have access to any of our systems. So we can go anything from password protection and policy all the way up to blacklist on the hardware itself, and we use the appropriate security solution based on what people want to pay for and how sensitive the information that they're protecting is.
Thank you.
In this specific project,
Yes.
how many outside consultants did you use? Not talking about your own suppliers of equipment,
Yep.
but actually from outside Mircom itself, such as consulting engineers or?
Sure, so obviously, civil structural started outside.
Right.
Mechanical contractor and consulting engineering was done outside, which is why we had that problem, and we had to fix it with controls. And electrical firm was done outside as well. So for the life safety engineering and the systems control engineering, that was really a function of our engineered systems team. And we do a lot of this work internal in-house. We employ probably about 15 or 20 professional engineers at Mircom. So in a lot of cases, we can sign off on our own work. But for the construction phase, we did utilize services of third parties to help with the base shell design, as we call it.
Last question?
You compete with big gorillas.
Very good.
So your core competency is what? The ability to customize and service, selling the service of design and customizing in order to.
We say we're both large and small. You know, we can provide the large solution, but we provide the service of a small firm. So family-owned business, we're very boutique. We're involved with our customers. We give out our cell phones. They can call us any time of the night. It's really about selling the solution and the confidence. You buy from a big vendor, they drop the equipment off, and they collect the check. We're there throughout the project with our customers. We support people. And as we said in the video, our name is on that solution. We're not selling the product. We're selling the brand name and the family name. And it's important for us that people are successful and they come back again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.